Hi, everybody. This is Katrina, and I am going to be talking about this week's reading. I chose my books because I wanted books that I could use in my future classroom that touched upon social studies concepts and something that would be engaging for my students, and I think I did that this week, so that's great. The first book I read was Flying Couch by Amy Kurzweil, and she is writing about herself as a young girl, but she's doing it from the girl's perspective. So it does fit in to the genre characteristics that Professor Stiles has talked about. And what she's trying to do is she's trying to learn about her grandmother's history because her grandmother is a Holocaust survivor. And the quote I chose was, "Our conversations are always in fragments, like my knowledge of her life." So I thought that was a great way to figure out what she's trying to do with this book. She's trying to touch upon Holocaust memory, she's trying to learn about her roots and find her identity. And I think that's extremely relatable for students because adolescence is really a time where students are finding themselves and learning about their roots, who they're going to be in life. And I thought that this is perfect for that and relatable. And I thought it would be great in a social studies classroom because it's actually, I noticed a deeper Holocaust memory meaning. So the main character actually goes to Israel, and she is an anti-Zionist, and this really touches upon the conflict between the Arab world and the Israel state, and how Holocaust memory is perceived in the Middle East. So I think that's a great way to segue into that topic in social studies classroom, and it's really something that isn't touched upon, I don't think, in our curriculum. Um, and I think it really should be because there's a Western view of Holocaust memory and then there's a Middle Eastern view, and they kind of perceive themselves as the victims, as paying for a Western society's crimes by getting their land taken away and the Palestinians being um, displaced by the Jewish people. So I think that's a great way to segue into that. I think it's a fairly simple read. So, and obviously the pictures are amazing, and I think they're really telling of what she's saying through the text. And I think that's great for struggling readers because an image really goes a long way and helps them figure out what the text is saying. So that's that book. The next book I read, let me see, notes, was Persepolis, and another great graphic novel, and I think it's definitely has its uses for in the social studies classroom, particularly because it's about, or it's a great way to introduce Iran culture, and as Mary Jane touched upon, she is trying to dispel the controversy surrounding Iran and how terrorism, fundamentalism is not the core of Iran society, and I think that's amazing. It's a great, great concept. And okay, for my quote, I have to die a martyr is to inject blood into the veins of society. That's amazing. I think it's truly about revolution and standing up for what you believe in no matter what. And I think that's definitely what this book is touching upon. One of the themes. Another one I noticed was obviously gender gender issues in the Middle East, women being oppressed. What else? Oh, and the thing about these graphic novels is that they're written from the point of view of a young adult. So that's perfect because they're learning about these concepts like Zionism, like communism, all for the first time. And that's great because your students are learning it all from the first time too. So this is a great way to introduce it. So you're kind of like learning about it from a child's point of view, from a child's brain, and trying to derive like a definition for these things and what does it mean for me. And I think that's one of the themes in Persepolis. So that's Persepolis. The informational text that I chose was The Shadow of Liberty. In the Shadow of Liberty. And it's about the controversies surrounding the Founding Fathers, the Declaration of Independence, the establishment of our country. And I also think that's great because it's something that I want to do in my future classroom. I want to talk about controversy. I want to talk about maybe we heroified the wrong people in history. And for the quote I chose, okay. We may learn something about slavery in school, but many people still do not understand or want to accept the basic truth. America was conceived in liberty in 1776, but the country was also born in shackles. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so it's really about the importance of slavery and how it shaped the beginning of our country. And that's definitely something I think that it, like I said, is missing in social studies classrooms. It's something that I didn't learn about until college. The same thing with Holocaust memory. And I don't think I've ever learned anything about Iran history because by the time we got to the end of our social studies unit, my senior year, we were like on the Cold War, and that was it. They didn't give us the time to study the Middle East. So I just think that's amazing. Some of these concepts, and that we can find it in young adult literature, that controversy can be touched upon. And, I was always afraid. I wanted to teach high school students because I want to talk about these things. But this has really opened my eyes because I think in middle school, with these books, you can talk about controversy. And it's something that is made approachable through these books. And it's just amazing. So, overall with this book, I think that it's a great introduction into slavery. From what I can tell, history-wise, it's spot on. It's actually on one of the award lists on the website that Professor Stiles has given us. It touches upon not just slavery, but the Founding Fathers, about colonialism, mercantilism, the indentured servant issue. I mean, it's just amazing, and it's perfect. And it's definitely something that I will keep in the back of my mind. And the last book I read was Out of the Dust, and it's the multi-genre, multi-format choice that we had to make. And I chose Out of the Dust by Karen Hiss. It's actually an electronic version, so I don't have it to show you guys. But I did read it in middle school, but obviously it was foggy, so I reread it again. And I thought it will be a great insight for students into the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression, to see kind of like the psychological aspects of what people were going through. And it's absolutely amazing. So my quote is and by the way, the book is set up in a variety of free verse poems. So it's a compilation of those, and that's how she tells the story. So this is from the last poem, Finding a Way. The way I see it, hard times aren't only about money, or drought, or dust. Hard times are about losing spirit and hope in what happens when dreams dry up. So I really think this says a lot about the whole book. Yes, she's going through this terrible time. No money, dust covering everything. She actually loses her mother, loses the ability to play piano for a while because she burns her hands. And it's really sad. But at the end, she kind of has this defining moment, and she realizes, I can't give up hope. I still have my father. I'm going to play again. I have a future. And, I just think that's what this whole book is about. Yeah, times were tough, but we found a way and we have hope. Um, so yeah, I think that's amazing. I think all these books will be great in a social studies classroom, various ages. Even if you didn't want to read the whole book, you could break it up. Um, like Monet said, Persepolis, there's a lot of concepts in there. So yeah, I agree. You have to break it up and figure out a way to have your students focus on one theme at a time, maybe, if they can't handle all of them at once. Um, but as I was reading, I was astounded. It was really great. So thanks you guys for watching my video. I'll talk to you soon.